This is the Wise Guy Radio Show, a podcast dedicated to educating and inspiring through conversations with today's top talents in the world of glass. We will be dissecting their journeys in hopes to deliver actionable content that you, the artist, can start implementing now, helping you grow not only as a creative spirit, but also a successful artistic entrepreneur. With a little organization, relationship building, and your artistic ability, you can obtain greatness. Climb aboard, whether an artist, retail owner, or enthusiast. We have a ton of fun in store for you. Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show.
You're listening to the Wise Guy Radio Show.
This episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by Mountain Glass Arts. For the month of November 2017, Mountain Glass is offering their Boros sale. Get your Chinese rod and tube at 50% off. Just put in the coupon code Chinese, that's CHINESE, and get your hands on some of their new opaque Chinese colors. They're really nice. I've actually been working with them myself lately. And for all you beautiful soft glass nerds, they have their Creations as Messy sale. Just put in the coupon code Messy, that's MESSY at checkout. You get 40% off. All right, now on with the show. Hey, what's happening? Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show, episode number 181. This is your host, Jason Michael, and thank you so much for tuning in today. Today's guest is Caleb Prater, goes by @StillDrop on Instagram, and he's been doing glass since 2011, and was drawn to the flame via his neighbors who are working in the garage, and his curiosity drew him over there one night, and next thing you know, he's starting to do some glass and production, and the story goes from there. So it's definitely an interesting chat, and his humble beginnings and where he came from and how he got started and all the things he's been doing now, and his dreams and ambitions, and his work's actually super clean too. So his episode is going to be up on the website. It's going to be episode 180. So it'll be Wise Guy Media /181. I'll have a link in the show notes for that as well, but I'm going to start getting all of our artists' web pages built over the next couple weeks. I did it from early on in the show, and then the website was lost, and GoDaddy wasn't able to find it, so I had to start all over. And so now I have to go through that process of uploading. I think it's 115 guests we've had on the show so far, something around there. But they'll be under, I have a link that says actionable episodes and one link that also says artist interviews. And that's on the main Wise Guy Radio page. And then I'll actually have individual numbers for each individual artist that you'll have links you can go to that will be based via their show notes. So just a little something extra there for everybody. But anyways, that being said, we had a fun conversation and was definitely an honor to have him on. He was actually one of the recent artists who's reached out to me to want to be on the show. And that being said, if you ever want to come on the show and chit-chat and share your story, and you think you've got something to contribute to the community, I'd love to get to know you and share your journey and everything like that. So hit me up. I now have a new email. I believe it's working. It's info@wiseguymedia.com, info@wyzguy media.com. And again, I'll have that link in the show notes as well. And pretty pumped to keep moving forward as I'm getting settled in and things are happening and all that good shit. So let's see, before I forget, I got a little housekeeping to do here. I want to let you guys know that coming up here in December, they have their 13th annual Women in Glass issue, The Flow, which mails December 7th, 2017. It is just in time for the holidays, and this issue has over 180 female flameworkers represented. It's fucking amazing. It's the issue they all want to be in, and we're so excited to welcome them. So definitely get your issue. Again, it's going to be released on December 7th. So if you know anybody that's a glass artist that you would want to gift them a present, you can go get a 1-year subscription to The Flow magazine. Use the promo code WISEGUY, and you'll receive 10% off that subscription. And it's a 4 times a year magazine, and every quarter that comes out, it's a phenomenal, full of just knowledge and images and stories and just all kind of cool shit. So I definitely recommend it. And you can also just go to theflowmagazine.com, and again, promo code WISEGUY will get you 10% off a annual subscription. And they also are right now still taking anybody who wants to contribute images or wants to be in the spring circulation. They have it for, I'm actually trying to bring up my email here. Yeah, okay. So, but before December 1st, if you have any submissions you'd like to have in their nature issue, definitely get in there. If you need an extension on that, you can contact Maureen at Flow Magazine. Just go to flowmagazine.com, look for their contact, and hit her up and let her know that you have something you'd want to insure. Maybe it's not quite ready, etc. But they got to get stuff in there for images to be taken, all that kind of stuff for the spring publication. So definitely check it out. So here's the write-up on it. It says, the spring 2018 issue of The Flow will explore the wonders of nature. Everything from the tiniest microbes, marine animals, and wildlife to global environments, including geologic formations, plants and trees, and bodies of water, large and small. Gallery entries, general interest stories, and health, safety, or technical articles are welcomed for consideration. Tutorial submissions for beads, sculptures, marbles, paperweights, vessels, and mixed media in all skill levels from beginner and intermediate to advanced will be accepted for consideration. The submission, again, deadline is December 1st, December 1st, 2017, and the release date for that issue is going to be March 14th, 2018. So get your shit together if you want to get in this magazine, and contact Maureen with all of your stuff. Again, just go to theflowmagazine.com, and they have some information there. I'll put also a link in the show notes for you guys too. It's a submission form link that she gave me to put in there, so look for that in this bottom of the show notes as well. And one little special thing, for those who follow Joe Scar on Instagram, you can find him at Scarglass. He came on the podcast early on. We had an awesome conversation. He was part of the Sagan moon launch that they did. They did a lot of cool shit. His episode was a lot of fun in general. He's a super funny guy, humble guy, amazing artist. And he recently posted on Instagram a small snippet of a music track that he made just using the sounds of his studio. Tweezers clicking, his kiln click sound, glass snapping, scoring a snap on a rod, just all kind of cool shit. And he was able to turn this into music. So you're going to hear a bumper in between this intro here and my interview here coming up that will it's about a minute-ish long, so definitely just check it out. Again, it's fucking awesome, and you can find Joe at Scarglass on Instagram. His stuff's super gnarly. He's got a really good style of work, so check it out, and I think you'll definitely appreciate it. So that's about it for now. I just got off a long 6-day stint over at the Mouse House, and I'm fucking exhausted. So I'm going to throw this together, and this actually was already put together, and I realized that my intro was out of date as I was talking about it being Black Friday, and I have been so busy with work I didn't get a chance to put this out, so I'm just redoing this, and I'm glad I did because I wanted to include the stuff about the Flow magazine as well as Joe's music. So until next time, thank you so much for tuning into episode 181. And we will talk to you all next time on the Wise Guy Radio Show. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes, all your fun podcast catchers. Leave us reviews, rate us, tell the world how much you love this show. And always contact me and tell me the same thing, info@wiseguymedia.com. Love you. Peace. Hey, what's up, Caleb? Welcome to the show.
Yo, what's happening?
Not much, man. It's a nice, beautiful, semi-chilly Florida morning here. I'm sure all you guys up north and west and east and everywhere else is probably freezing your balls off. I don't know how y'all do it in the cold weather.
Yeah. Down here in Tucson, this was the first morning where I woke up and I was like, oh man, I got to put on a jacket.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Good glass blown weather, though.
Yeah, no doubt.
Hell yeah, dude. So before we get too off topic, as I tend to do here, if you want to give us your superhero origin story and how you were introduced to the flame.
So yeah, so it was like 2011, and I was, kind of didn't really have anything going on. I was just kind of working at a sandwich shop, and I just got the job, and then I met some next door neighbors that moved in next to my parents' house, and like I had no idea what they were doing. I'd see torches in the window of like this little shack next door, and I was like, "What are they doing? Like, what's going on over there?" Big fireballs and all kinds of stuff, because without the glasses on, you can't really see what's going on. And then one day, like my water pipe busted, and had a big geyser of water shooting out of my backyard, and like they came out with like the tool to shut off the water for me as I was out there messing around with it. And then they're like, hey, we're glass blowers. If you ever want to like come over and check it out, like feel free to stop on by. And I was like, what? Like, are you kidding me? That's like the coolest thing ever. Like, I'd love to come check it out. So I got my stuff ready and went over there and, said what's up. And then they were in there, they're making pipes. They were like production guys that were like super hardcore. And, they'd been doing it for a while. And I was just kind of hooked from there. Like, it was just really interesting going in there and like smelling the shop, and like it was all very like familiar to me because my mom was a metalsmith like my whole childhood.
Oh, nice.
So she's like a pretty well-known metalsmith, and so she's starting to get more and more into that. And I grew up in the studio. Like my bedroom was actually like her studio, so I grew up with all the benches and the tools and the torches and all that stuff. So it was all really familiar to me. And I kind of knew at that point, like, I was like, oh, this is like definitely something I'm interested in. This is definitely something I want to do. And so after that, I met them, and then they gave me an opportunity to hop on the torch, and I was like, cool. So I started making little twisty beads and all kinds of stuff like that, and like mushroom beads. And, then I started to get into some like wrap and rag pipes, like silver fumey, kind of cool. I was totally addicted to color, like right off the bat. So
hell yeah.
I was doing that, and I was doing delivery driving from like 11 to 2. So I would go to work in the morning, and then I'd get off at 2, and then I'd go over to the shop. And at that point, there was 3 of us on 2 benches. There was my buddy Pete, his roommate Virgil, and me that were all working in there. And I was helping out with making production kind of stuff at like a later point. There was his roommate Virgil had like mouth cancer, and so he wasn't able to get a good seal on the blow tubes or the punties or the points. And so we were doing like kind of like a tag team back and forth with his spoons that were like these cool little like just like cobalt blue Chinese tubing with like canes spun around the front of them. And we would tag team back and forth. Like he would pull the point and pull the waste, and then he would pass it off to me, and I would blow out the bowl, and then he would coil pot the cane on the front, and then I would pass it back to me. I'd melt it in kind of and pop the hole and push the bowl, pop the carb, and then he would do the flat spot and tear off the mouthpiece.
Huh, interesting.
And we did that like super back and forth like for probably like a good 3 or 4 months. I was just kind of helping him pay the bills. He would like hook me up with color and like kind of just like toss me a bunch of cool stuff like here and there, little scrap ends of pieces of tubing, and like it was really fun, like way to help him out. He helped me out. I was able to work on his bench after he was done for the day. So we ended up doing that for a while, and that was like kind of like really where I like learned how to blow glass really.
Nice. What kind of stuff were they doing with like, were they doing like a full production line of stuff besides just spoons and shit?
Not really. Like Pete was doing bubblers and stuff on the side, so I was able to watch him do like old school push bubs with like, the little 9.5 mil downslide push in.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like they had their like main lines. Like Pete was doing like some really kind of cool artistic-y like stringer work on the outside of like Chinese tubing that he could turn into pipes. Like he's a production monster. He still is to this day. And really good friend of mine. I still talk to him very regularly. I actually just talked to him a few minutes ago.
Nice. What's their do you know their glass handles? What they use for their name?
Oh yeah. Virgil passed away probably like 3 years ago.
That sucks.
He ended up having the spout with the cancer and all that stuff. So unfortunately, yeah, but Blue Lizard Sticks is Pete's Instagram, and you can see a lot of his work on there.
Cool. Okay.
Kind of and he learned up in Snowflake from this guy named Craig X that did a couple of appearances on weeds and stuff like that. He was like kind of just like a businessman that opened up a glass blowing shop up in Snowflake. So that's where, Pete learned how to blow glass. And then he moved down to Tucson and moved in next door to my parents where I was living at, and then found me. And he needed help like huffing oxygen tanks back and forth to the oxygen shop, and like, he just needed someone handy around to help lift heavy stuff and do, all that kind of stuff. So I kind of apprenticed under them, and I kind of got a good business model out of that.
Yeah, well, it sounds like exactly. Go on, I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. It was a good production model, like learning, the dollars per hour, how much your materials cost, how much, time you want to spend on a pipe, like what you need to charge for it. And then he took me around and introduced me to like the main shops here in Tucson. And there's one company that has like 4 shops here in town that are just like really heavy buyers, and they keep me really busy. So, definitely was a hookup on how to sell the stuff, which was super cool.
Yeah, man. It's not, I think like in terms of like a real apprenticeship in a sense, I think that's how it should be done. Like not only learn the material itself, but understanding, as long as the teacher or the master is qualified, quote unquote, to understand the business side of things, or is already doing it, to implement it and help you and show you that kind of stuff. Because all day long you can make shit, but if you can't sell it, what's the fucking point?
Yeah, no doubt. It's not what you can make, it's what you can sell.
Yeah,
I mean, everybody can, put as much time and effort into making stuff. And I think, quality sells itself. You know what I mean? Yep. Like if you're making a quality product, if it's the right price point and it's the right quality, like you should be able to sell it. And so that was really the business model, was like make quality stuff, don't skimp on the color. Like, the stuff's not terribly expensive to be able to get. So at least at that point it wasn't. So yeah, there was all of that. And then like, that was like it was this little tiny, like almost like a quarter of a trailer, like storage room next door. So like we had 2 benches set up and I think it was like 10 feet by like 5 feet bench space, or like the total room. So it was really tight and super compact, but it was nice because we had a big cooler that blew in there, kept us nice and cool during the summer. And so we did that for, I think it was like 3 years I was working out of there, 2.5 years. And then after Virgil passed away and I ended up moving in with Pete at a different location, and we set up a new studio. And from there, that's really where I kind of started to pick up some of the more like, headier techniques, or like just different techniques, I guess, like the space fuming and like doing stuff and puffs or blow-ins. Like I thought those were really fun there for a really long time. And so I started making these cool little pipes. Like I called them my smoothies, and they were like some of my first pictures on Instagram at that point. And they were like, white, like, gold or like amber purple over white, and then blow it into a piece of like 32 mil and like shape a little pipe out of it, put a little lip wrap, extended carb and some beads on it, and maybe a little honeycomb or something like that. Like,
yeah. That
was like my first kind of like introduction to like doing something where I was like, oh, these are so cool, I want to make more. And then that's whenever I really kind of got hooked. Like making the production was fun. It paid well. Like I was super stoked on, like, by the time I hit that point, I was really comfortable with the production. Like, I was able to bang out, 30, 40 pipes a day, like be able to, sell them all pretty much right off the bat. So I was able to fund a lot of that. And so I was still doing delivery driving like every day throughout that whole period. And I, finally started getting fed up with the delivery driving, and I think I quit that place like 4 times. Like, and then he'd call me back and he'd be like, "Yo, Caleb, I need you to come in for a day and like do delivery driving." Our delivery driver called out, and I'd be like, all right, I'm coming back." So it was like this never-ending battle of trying to leave there. Like, so,
well, you sound like you have a big heart too, man. So like you're willing to help out, even.
oh yeah,
So,
totally. I was super like, I was really good friends with the owner, and I still am. And he totally would call me whenever he needed me, and I would show up and do whatever he needed me to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Plus, it gives you a little break from the pipes. Little
yeah,
different
it was.
environment.
It was a nice little break from the pipes. It was a nice way to get out and like talk to people and get out of my little cave, and
Yeah, exactly.
So like that was all good. And then so we were working at a studio that we built at a different location I'd moved out, and I'd like got the place with them, or with Pete, and we had a kind of an apprentice come in and learn from me and him. So this guy by the name of Nate came in, and you can find him at Lung Butter Glass, and now he's got like his own little production company now and stuff. But he started blowing glass with us, and we ended up having a lot of fun, kicking back, relaxing, late nights in the studios and all that good stuff. So it was a good opportunity. It was the first time I really like actually kind of like taught somebody how to blow glass. I feel like it wasn't just me, but definitely started getting the hang of it at that point. Because whenever you teach somebody something, you understand it more, I feel like.
Oh yeah, totally. And like that's where I'm at right now too, because like with these online courses I'm doing, and my second big class I'm going to do is a pipe making 101 thing, and I have a student right now who was my roommate, so it was fun to go back to like my very, very basic beginnings from like pulling a point to making spoons, and like having to refresh myself on like the process, all these things that I'm just, like when I teach you step by step by step, but when I'm doing things, I'm taking like 4 steps and turning them into one to to simplify the process and make time faster.
Totally.
So it's good when you can teach that to really break things down again, to give you an even better understanding of what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
So I definitely recommend that.
Totally reaffirms like your abilities, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, not everybody can teach either, so it's definitely one of those things that really gives you some insight on your professionalism and quality of what you can do, and your knowledge, I guess, at the same time.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I wasn't very experienced at that time. I had been maybe doing it for like 2.5 years at that point, so it was still pretty fresh. And then I kind of, I don't know, I worked there for about a year, and we, just doing the jam and doing the delivery driving. And then finally I ended up, kind of just wanting to step away and kind of get out on my own. Felt like I had been doing that for a while now. And I was really happy to have the experience, but I kind of wanted to like separate myself and just kind of like step out and like kind of get my own studio and kind of get things going on. So after that, year lease wrapped up, I ended up moving back in with my folks, and my dad kind of wanted to start learning how to blow glass. So I was like, cool, like far out. Like me and my dad go, way back. We're really good friends, and, everything's great. And so whenever he told me he was interested, I was like, well, let's do it. Like hands down, like let's build a business. And we ended up taking a carport in the back of my parents' house and like building walls and like building in a floor and all that kind of stuff, and like building benches, and like we set it up to be like a 2-person glass blowing studio.
Nice.
So we ended up getting another Bravo in, and he ended up taking over the major minor that I was working on from the beginning. And he learned how to take over my production lines. Like I taught him how to make, the wrap and rake spoons and the wrap and rake chillums, and, that kind of just basic model of, here, this is step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. I need them done this way. This is the quality. This is the, expectation of what they look like. And, he killed it. Like he totally came in and just started banging out production. Because at that point I was done. I was kind of burned, and I just was tired of doing them all the time. And I wanted to kind of push the nicer stuff. I wanted the ability to have the time to be able to do that stuff. And I felt like I had a market that was good enough to be able to do it. And so he came in, totally took over production, and like helped me out, and like kind of like taught me how to like, run a business, get the even more fine-tuned than I had already known was like, how much does each pipe cost, and how much is like, each amount of materials, and, what do you need to budget out to be able to save enough to be able to reorder supplies and all that kind of good stuff. which really helped 100%. And we ended up getting the business license up and running, and all that kind of good stuff. Kind of towards the later end, which was like, I finally got my DBA and all that good stuff going.
Mm-hmm. Would you when you guys filed the DBA? Did you file it just as like a art business?
I ended up at that, like, kind of towards the later point. He ended up getting a job working for the state of Arizona. So I ended up just doing a sole proprietary business owner.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I'm still under now, is Still Drop Studio, a sole proprietary business DBA with, the whole tax stuff and everything. So I do mostly wholesale orders, so I don't really have to pay any state taxes, but it's mostly just, federal.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that's the nice thing with doing the business and wholesale, because it's like it's for those that do wholesale and retail, selling directly to a customer, it's like you got to pay attention to whether you're selling in-state or if you're selling to the customer out-of-state. Those are probably like the small details of the tax codes that you got to really pay attention to. But
yeah, those tax codes, man, they are tricky for sure. There's something, but once you get the hang of it, I feel like it gets a lot easier.
Yeah, and that's the thing I preach, bro. It's just all about routine. It's like every fucking day, because like I remember, the days at Subway, I would get out, end my day by doing a Z out on the register and counting the drawer and making our deposits. And it's like, we're not making cash in hand every day because a lot of our stuff is transactions through PayPal or whatever. But still, you have the opportunity to every day do like your own little Z out, and you just got to dedicate 5 minutes or a half an hour every fucking day, or like first thing in the morning after the day after, day after kind of deal.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I've kind of like set up routine where like every Saturday morning I wake up, I get my coffee, I get on my computer, and I sit down with my books, and I sit down with all my receipts, and I just input them into my Google Sheets account, and like just a way to keep up on it, because otherwise it's so easy to get slipped and behind. And next thing you know, you got like 18 hours of paperwork to do, and you're like, oh my goodness, when am I going to find time to do this?
So you use Google Sheets to do it?
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, my mom helped me set up a little Google Sheets page with like expenses, income, and then I also have a vehicle set up so that I can deduct mileage and all that good stuff, which helps out a lot. If you can deduct mileage, like that's $1 million. Like you'll save yourself so much money if you can keep track of your mileage and gas and everything. Yeah,
and one thing I always preach to people to do too is like on this topic is using Google Maps, because if you don't remember how many miles you've gone, just plug in your address to the store and then just do the round trip. It kind of helps out.
I think we did something just like that where we took like every receipt we had to the oxygen place where I got oxygen from, and we just like there and back for every receipt that we had, so that equaled X amount of miles on the vehicle that we could deduct from said taxes.
And I got fucked myself because like with my commute, when I was doing my commute to work, it was like 100 miles one way. So, I was doing like 1,000 miles a fucking week. And because it was going to a job, I couldn't deduct that mileage on my car because it was to a job. It wasn't like I was making deliveries, so. It sucked.
Yeah, that does suck. I mean, maybe you could, I don't know. You might be able to swing it as education or something like that. But yeah, you were getting paid for it. So yeah, totally. To a job, it doesn't count.
No, And there was still depreciation in the vehicle, still, but that, I couldn't deduct 1,000 miles a fucking week.
Yeah, you wouldn't have had to pay very much taxes.
No, I may have got a refund. Who knows?
No shit, right? I feel that.
but like toll receipts are the same way, and like I use my Evernote, and whenever I had my buddy Mike Dorr was my assistant for a while, and when him and I would go do deliveries, he would just get the receipt and use my Evernote, and you can do like a screen capture of just the receipt itself, no matter what kind of surface it's on. It just captures the paper itself. And we would just store away all those receipts because this shit, these tolls, they fucking add up after a while too if you have tolls to pay.
That's so handy, man. That's super handy. If you can, those little like just ultimate like portable scanners, just be able to scan documents.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, totally.
Do you pay quarterly taxes, or are you still doing annually?
I'm still doing annually. Like this next year, I'm really hoping to get on the quarterly front. Yeah, just because like I mean, it's so hard to like just be able to work out every quarter. I usually like to save up and then just kind of do like a fat sale there at the end and just pay everything off and just kind of try and stay a step ahead of the game. But ultimately, quarterly is the way to go.
You should see if you're, because I don't know, because I use Excel for all my stuff, and I know I'm still learning Excel, but I know there's ways to use the previous annual reports to show you like a scale graph to get your estimates going, to figure out like what your quarters are going to be. Because ultimately, that's like the way to go about it, just to use the previous year's, Because I'm sure
and
there's going to,
predict
you have ebbs and flows,
what.
but,
Yeah, but you can kind of get a rough estimate of what it's going to be.
Yeah. Because it's always better to overpay early on than to have to owe $10,000 at the end of the fucking year.
Yeah, no, yeah, that would definitely not be fun.
No. And I know it happens all the time. I mean, all these guys out
yeah.
there that are making $20,000-$30,000 for pipes. It only costs maybe $150 to make the motherfucker,
Yeah, totally.
In terms of material, the time, sure, but we don't get paid for, or our time isn't tax deductible, unfortunately.
No, it's not. Yeah, I wish that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the way it goes.
Yeah, dude. So part of your theming, which I appreciate, and like we were talking pre-show, is your anchors that you're doing. So is there like an inspiration nautical kind of gimmick in your life that started steering you in that direction?
Yeah, I grew up kind of in the middle of the desert. Like I grew up, hiking mountains, really rough terrain. I've been a hiker since I was like born pretty much. And, something about water has always fascinated me. It's like I was looking at doing some other ones, like some, what are they called? They're like sextants. I thought a little sextant pendant would be cool. Like just kind of old school, like, water themed kind of stuff. And I knew that I'd kind of been looking around for something that nobody was doing, honestly. Like I'd looked all over Instagram and tried to find anyone doing anchor pendants. I was like, somebody's got to have this idea before me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then whenever I didn't really find any, I was like, I'd seen a couple, but none of them were like really what I was looking at doing. So whenever I found like that out, I was like, okay, like I have to jump on this now,
Yeah, because once you think about it, just the thinking process, 45 other glass blowers are going to fucking make it.
I know, yeah. And it happens so fast.
It does. It's ridiculous.
Like, I was thinking about doing these really cool, like, this is funny. I was thinking about doing something really cool with these, like, the new, bubble caps, the bubble carb caps. And, like, I was like, oh, these look just like little mini bombs. Like, this would be awesome to do, like, little shark bomb carb caps or something like that. And then, like, 3 days later, I see Ram Mickelson drops like a whole bunch of bomb carb caps, and I'm like, like that's the way it goes.
Well, it's like the thermal buckets. My student and I, we were talking about how like the cadmium colors, they go red or orange or brown depending on what color they are, and then they cool down, they go back to their color, and we were talking about like the concept of making thermal buckets using frit inside the bucket to let you know your timer basically, and we were going to sit there and time it and figure out the temperatures and shit.
Totally.
And then I was talking to some cats, including Q Hefner, and he's like telling me about their thermal buckets. And then all of a sudden it was like 4 other guys. And he was saying there was 3 artists within like a 6-mile radius of his studio that started making them unknown amongst each other type of thing. Like,
yeah, they're not talking about it. It's just kind of like a universal like conversation.
Yeah.
Among glass blowers, like everybody kind of has the same idea at the same point. Like it all kind of reaches a point in which we all kind of see it, and then like the first person to jump on it kind of grabs it and gets it.
Yeah, totally.
And so it's like a competition. It's a very friendly competition, but it's a competition nonetheless.
Yeah, it is now. It used to not be.
Yeah. No
all you young guns get to experience the fun of and pleasure of competing in class.
Yeah.
Where before it was like, fuck you, you're stealing my shit.
It used to be war.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and it's still a dog-eat-dog community out there in terms of the sales and shit going on, but, it's...
Totally. But, it's
fun.
I feel like I've had, like, definitely had people come after my stuff, and, like, I've seen it on the shelves, and people try to beat my price point, It just kind of means, like, I don't know, I've always looked at it as I just kind of got to step my game up, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
if
totally.
Someone's getting close enough...
I agree, 100%.
It's like, okay, like, I need to step it up. Like, obviously, my stuff is not, or either that, or it's like, okay, that's cool. Like, you're just making my stuff look better. Like, either way, it depends on which way it goes.
Yeah, exactly.
But
and that's the thing. It's like when you're going out and looking to sell your stuff or figuring out what you want to make, take experience and ideas from, like I did an episode on like going out and doing like a little recon mission and go into a smoke shop, don't tell them you're a glass blower, look what's on the shelves. And if you need to copy some of the stuff on there because it's product they have and they purchased, obviously, so they want that kind of shit, obviously make it, but sell it for the same fucking price. Don't undercut the artists.
Yeah, don't undercut artists, exactly. That's something that I've really tried to focus on whenever I was selling stuff, is like, because like, one of my really good friends, Pete, he's like, kind of in the same production-y market that I was in. I never wanted to like go to his price point. Like I wanted to leave his price point alone. You know what I mean? And I wanted to make sure that either my pipes were, smaller and, the right price, or like, further up the line where they're in the like over the, $10 to $20 mark wholesale.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So it was stay away from that one price point, try and like, make sure that, you're not undercutting anyone or like overcharging, or try and find that right point, because that's really where your stuff's going to sell. If you can find that perfect spot where it's like, obviously like the lower price it is, the faster it's going to sell. But, at some point you have to like understand that other people need to get paid too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's smart. And it's there's certain underwritten code of ethics we have in this industry that's not a lot of people follow. A lot of us do, but then there's also a lot that don't.
Yeah, there's some people out there that are just trying to make money.
Yeah.
And I understand that, but it feels a little, I don't know, it feels a little wrong.
Yeah, to me it seems like it's the panic that makes it happen that way, or addiction, one of the two. It's like I got to pay a bill, so I got to go sell this, or I need my whatever and I need to go sell this.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I think that's both of those are very valid and true.
Oh. But then you also have like certain demographics and areas, like here in Florida, we're a touristy state. So as many badass smoke shops as we have in the state, we also have probably 10 times more that are a little hole in the wall, that are selling import shit or selling people's stuff that they can just throw away more or less. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Buying it by the pound rather than by the piece.
Well, dude, like when I went to Champs in Orlando, there was a guy there that had spoons for 65 cents and had bubblers, like little mini small, like, they were like 3-inch bubblers for 85 fucking cents. They were imported.
Oh.
Yeah, they were, and I asked the guy how he was doing. He's like, oh, we sold the whole booth. And he had like $250,000 worth of glass sitting there, and he was,
Holy shit.
He was just walking around handing out flyers because he was all sold out.
Jeez.
Yeah, and that's the Florida market. It's just, it is what it is. It's like there's gas stations selling shit. A lot of these gas stations are getting shut down because of the local laws and stuff that are stopping it. But,
wow,
it's definitely an interesting demographic and dichotomy we have here in Florida compared to like a legal state like Colorado or where you're at. It's like as things start to move, and even though we have medical here, it's still not it's not a medical state yet. It's just fucking stupid.
Yeah, it's so confusing trying to stay up with the laws on that whole front. Like, whenever medical got legalized here, and then right after that recreational happened in California, and whenever recreational happened in California, I started getting some more clients out of like the the recreational or medical. There was like a medical distributor that hit me up and was like, one of my friends that I'd met, and he ended up getting into the whole recreational scene. And then he was like, hey man, we want to like start offering like promos to some of our customers for like free pieces. So I ended up doing like a couple really big orders for them, where I would like sandblast their logo on a bunch of like really simple pipes and sold them to them. And like they said that they killed it over there.
Hell yeah.
Like so it was like totally just random, but it worked out wonderfully.
Yeah, that's
definitely.
Yeah, it's smart.
Definitely hooked it up.
Yeah, it's a whole different market, and it's so weird because like I hear like in Washington D.C. with it being medical there, but like the dispensaries can't sell pipes, and you can't sell, or even I don't think you can sell pipes in D.C. period or something like that.
I don't think that they were selling them. I think they were just giving them to the giveaways. They were like giveaways to all their customers.
Yeah. Well, I know like in Florida where they were trying to pass this quote unquote bong tax, they were actually going to call it, which ended up becoming a joke, but what they were trying to do was basically say that if you sold tobacco products that you had to pay this bong tax, and if your shop sold pipes, you had to sell at least, I think it was like 70% actual tobacco to be able to sell pipes in it. And then whatever pipes you sold had to be considered this bong tax. So what people were trying to do was like, spend $30 on a t-shirt and you get a free pipe, kind of bullshit.
Gotcha.
But the bong tax made it so when you paid this tax, you're paying a quote unquote bong tax, and because a bong is federally illegal, you're obviously admitting that you're selling illegal stuff. So
it was totally catch you up.
Yeah, it was bullshit. So they just laughed it out.
That sucks.
Yeah,
I'm sure everyone they weren't having it. I mean, obviously, it sounds like it didn't go through at all. But
no, there's a local. I think he's either a congressman or senator for Florida. I think his name's Darren or Daryl Russo, and he was like former crackhead turned like right wing drug against drug kind of cat, you know. and has been on this rampage mission for like the last 10 years or so, kind of bullshit. And he was locally from where I grew up at, like as a local representative, and now he's in the state house stuff. And he was one of those guys that tried putting this bill through that, it was a completely unconstitutional. I mean, they basically made it to where like you had to discriminate against your customers. You had to assume, it was like you had to knowingly assume that they were using this product for ganja or for tobacco. And if someone walks in with dreadlocks in your store, you have to knowingly assume that they're going to buy it for the wrong shit. And it was completely discriminatory, like across the board.
Stupid.
Yeah. Again, Florida backwoods, old laws. Yeah. I mean, supposedly it's still, I think there's still a law in Florida where it's illegal to get a blowjob still.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Dude, that sucks.
Yeah. But yeah. I think it's like one of those stupid laws.
Yeah. No, nobody listens to those laws.
And hell no.
Yeah. I think every state has some weird, stupid thing that, they came up with back when, whatever, and then it all just kind of faded. You know?
Yeah. But they still exist, so they can be enforced. So watch out, guys.
Yeah.
And gals.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, man. So to go back to your nautical stuff, have you gone to like turn that into your pipes and stuff, or are you mostly just going with the pendant kind of concepts?
Right now, I'm just kind of doing the pendant concept just to kind of dial them in, and then eventually, I'm totally gonna start, slowly introducing them into the some rigs and like mounting them and trying to maybe even do some hollow work with them, or like I was thinking about I've had a few kind of cool ideas towards the anchor side of things and the nautical side of things, but right now I'm just really trying to dial in that symmetry and dial in the just structural quality.
Yeah. Let's love to see you make them all hollow, make like a Sherlock or something out of them, or
Yeah, I always thought it'd be cool to do like a little pendant rig out of one where like one of the tips is like a mouthpiece and the other tip's like a 10 millimeter ground joint or something like that.
Yeah.
Haven't quite figured it out yet, but definitely working on that side.
Well, now that we talked about it, 45 glass blowers are doing it right now.
I know, right?
Before this even airs.
But that's cool, though. I don't know. I support it. I hope I see some other kind of cool stuff popping out, just because it'll give me new ideas,
Yeah, totally. That's what I love about this whole thing. It's like, take my idea and run with it, because then it'll give me a whole bunch of new ideas and where to go with it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, man. So this is Thanksgiving week. You getting prepared for Black Friday and Cyber Monday sales and stuff?
Oh yeah, dude. Doing Christmas ornaments are coming up soon. I'm gonna do a big cartel drop Christmas ornament front. Gonna do some anchor pendants and some stuff like that, and do a big discount on my website. So that'll be coming up soon.
What's your website?
Stilldropstudio.bigcartel.com.
Okay.
There's a link to it in my Instagram. So.
Hell yeah, I'll have a link in your show notes for you too.
Sweet, rock on.
Yeah. Are you selling pipes on the Big Cartel at all, or are you just mostly?
No, I haven't done any pipes on there yet. Definitely want to, but I'm still a little iffy on the legality of selling stuff on the internet. I know you can. I see people doing it all the time, but I want to get something set up where it's like a click button where they like agree that they're 18 or over, or maybe even just put like a clause in the description or something like that makes sure that they have, proper abilities to be able to buy it.
Yeah. Because I know like the big cartels, like they're like, oh no, you can't sell pipes on here. But then you go on even like Etsy too, and there's like there's pipes all over the place, and then like once a year they go through and they do a clean sweep and they knock everybody off, and then all of a sudden it's back at
Yeah, totally. It seems like it's just like it's a constant battle with them, but so far I haven't sold any pipes on there. No, everything that I've done is through Instagram, which has been picking up lately. Like I haven't really been pushing Instagram more lately than I have in the past, but definitely sold quite a bit of stuff through Instagram with the auctions and just little orders here and there.
Yeah. Hell yeah. So kind of going back to your dad, is he coming in the studio at all with you, doing anything, or is he just mostly?
Yeah. So I just ended up building a new studio. So I'm not working out at my parents' house anymore. One of my dad's friends came back from DC, and he was out there working, and he came back and bought a house here in Tucson. And then he called me I think it was 6 months ago in maybe April. And he was like, hey, what's going on? You want to grab some lunch? I got something to show you. And he came out and showed me this fucking big house up on the foothills of Tucson that overlook the whole city, and like it's got this huge like 2-car garage that I'm sitting in right now that's now a glass blowing studio.
Nice.
It was like all red brick with like 4 big windows on the sides, and they were just built in. So we took, I think it was like all of July and part of May to be able to build it. Like we just completely revamped the whole space.
So did you guys skip
and
June?
built in
You skipped June in there somewhere?
Or my bad. It was like our opening day. We wanted to open by July, and we started in May.
Okay,
so it was May and June.
Okay, there you
that
go.
we were building it, and then by July 1st, we wanted to have it open.
Cool. I'm just busting your balls.
So we took like 30 days, 45 days straight of just like painting and putting in like swamp cooler and our whole ventilation system and building the benches and getting the tanks and everything we needed to be able to have it, fully operational by July 1st. So that was a really big process. And so then this has been by far like one of the nicest studios I've ever worked in, and totally is like a place for, creative, beautiful glass to be made.
Badass. What kind of ventilation system did you guys get in there?
We did a cool kind of like, it was like pressurizing the whole room with like a 5500 CFM swamp cooler, and some shutters that opened up with like big fans in the windows. So like there's a straight blow across our whole studio that like the coolers on one side, and then the fans and the shutters are on the other side. And whenever the room pressurizes, it opens up the shutters and the fans suck it all out while the whole room's getting pressurized. So it clears out like once every like 2 minutes. I think we mathematically figured it out. So the cooler was pumping enough air in to be able to clear the room out, relatively quickly.
Right. Cool. Hell yeah.
I definitely want to get some hoods in here though. Eventually, like that's kind of the next step. We need to get some hoods in and, get a little bit more, I think, because you can never really have too much.
Yeah.
As far as I know,
Yeah, that's why I've always enjoyed like just doing like the fan in a window in front of me kind of deal, especially when you're dealing with like frits and powders and stuff. I don't do powders anymore, but find frits and what stuff to get those particles just away from you, or you're fuming and stuff. Which again, I don't do much, but yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, it's super important. I mean, I started with just a fan in the window and like that worked, but eventually you still get like a little bit of that lingering smell, especially whenever you're silver fuming or working with stuff. Like sometimes it can get funky, man. Yeah. You got to watch that ventilation, like seriously.
Yeah, especially in a big
important.
Yeah, and then like you're talking about a 2-car garage, that's a pretty good sized space. Do you guys have like high ceilings in there, or is it?
Yeah, it's like a big like tapered roof, kind of A-frame.
Yeah, that's kind of how my setup is right now too.
Yeah. So. Yeah, you can see pictures of it on my Instagram too. I took pictures of like the whole building process and everything like that.
Okay, cool. So hell yeah.
Definitely worth checking out. So yeah, and then he's in here, my buddy. You can find him at I think it's Kimler.c on Instagram, but he's learning how to do marbles. I've been teaching him how to do vortex marbles, and he's really into that whole kind of like artistic-y creations, sculptural stuff, and he's really been killing it with his gold and silver fume. He's really into that, so it's really cool to watch and help him, and he kind of like gives me some cool ideas here and there, so he's a really good soundboard to bounce things off of.
Nice. Yeah, that's how my student was like that too. Yeah, it's fun having someone next to you that's new and passionate and has that hunger,
Yeah, totally. It like revived me to get back in here, and now I'm waking up at like 5 o'clock in the morning and getting over here by 6 and getting my production done by like 2, so that whenever he gets off work, he comes out here and just like we bang out cool stuff from there on out.
Yeah, man, that's smart. Do you have like a regular routine schedule for yourself like that? Like
I've been building one more regularly lately of just try and get here as early as you can Monday through Friday, and then take Saturday off. Don't even come out here, just because you want to get that distance. Just because I feel like I put so many hours in over here that sometimes I just need to step away and like go for a hike or try and get some nature in, or just sit around the house and watch Netflix all day. Sometimes that's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the beauty with what we do, man, is to create that lifestyle. You can really choose what the fuck you want to do and just work your glass around it, time wise. Because that was kind of what I was
Oh,
doing.
yeah.
Be done by like 1, 2 in the afternoon before. I mean, especially in Florida. I mean, you're the same way, dude. In the summertime, it's like 1,000 fucking degrees out there.
Yeah.
So it's like, and then I'm going to the beach afterwards, or get my kids from school, or whatever. Or
Yeah,
just
whatever it is, just totally. But it takes so much. I've noticed it takes a lot of self motivation.
Yeah.
If you're not a self motivated person, if you can't wake your ass up at 5 o'clock without a boss yelling at you if you don't show up, then you're probably not the job for you.
Yeah, it's very true. Or like the night owls that go, starting at 9 and work until 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, which I still think is unhealthy for the human body to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, totally not healthy
But-
at all. Like I used to be like that. I used to stay up all night and blow glass, and then I'd go to bed and wake up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then go back to work later on the evenings, and I just found that I was just exhausted all the time.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it does to you. It just completely throws up your circadian rhythm and all that shit. Next thing you know, you're putting on weight and
Yeah, totally.
all that
Yeah,
shit.
it's something I've always struggled with is a little bit of I've been working out a lot lately, and I think healthy body, healthy mind kind of thing. It helps me a lot.
Oh yeah, man, it's the damn truth. 100%, I agree. And that's what got me into with like the guys over at Zen Dude Fitness with the jump rope and stuff. And Brandon had a podcast years ago that he did. It was called Entrepreneurial Fitness, and it was all about that.
Oh.
Like if your your body and your mind are sound, then everything else around you, your business, your life, your relationships, everything just kind of goes into place. Which is it's a big deal for sure, and especially for a lot of us in the community that have some kind of mental health something, whether it's ADD or OCD or bipolar or depression, anxiety, all that shit. Like proper sleep and fitness and diet is a key to just maintaining.
Totally, 100%.
Yeah, hell yeah. So do you have any kind of like, I guess, future big dreams of where you want to take your glass, like in terms of benefiting the world per se?
Yeah, I definitely want to kind of develop a style that's based around kind of allowing yourself to. I want it to capture your essence. I really want to be able to make some stuff that allows people to connect to it in a way that they can build a relationship around it. And I've been kind of doing that with the anchor pendants. Just it symbolizes grounding yourself and staying solid, and kind of it's hard to say where it's going right now, because I'm definitely kind of trying to find a voice at the moment. It's like I've been kind of working more towards the sculptural side of things, and I put a lot of time and effort into just craftsmanship. I haven't done too many rigs, because whenever I do rigs, I want them to come out the way I want them to come out, with clean welds and everything nice. And so I'm still working on that front. It's hard to say what it's going to turn into, but I'm not stopping. So I guess there's that.
Yeah. Well, do you find too, like the flower community has a demand for your stuff even more so?
Absolutely. I think the flower community is almost my entire market.
Yeah.
I've been able to, make stuff for flower customers all the way through. I've had some people hit me up for some rigs, and I've had to tell them that they got to hold on, because I'm not quite there yet.
Cool. Well, that's good for you though, because I know a lot of people would be like, yeah, sure, and then they get pissed off and frustrated and end up making some kind of piece of junk.
Yeah, that's not the way I want to do it. And I love how you talk about, the foundation of pulling points, dude. I've pulled so many freaking points in my life, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's the way I do all my production still to this day. It's just bang out 50 points in the morning, and then make the 50 pipes.
Yeah, it's consistent and warmed up and everything. It's killer.
And I've really tried to focus on the craftsmanship of clean lines and symmetry, and that whole front is that's the way I wanted this to go. I want to go slow and steady. I feel like if you try to rush anything in life, you're going to end up taking shortcuts. And if there's one thing that I've learned from glass, is that it will show. If you take shortcuts, if you try to skirt around the side of something, or if you try to cut a step out here and there, you're gonna run into problems.
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
And it will show.
And it's like life, bro. And karma. It may not show up right away. It may show up a fucking year later or 6 months down the road. I've had stuff that I made early on that I'd come home from work and it'd be in pieces on my table, just sitting there, just from something I didn't do right. And it's I love to preach, man. It's always similar to life. It's just amazing. You take little shortcuts, and
Oh, it is.
it's gonna bite you in the
It
ass.
totally. It's the ultimate metaphor.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Yeah, I think that's the beauty of this community being blessed with this ability to be playing with this medium all the time, because it's a constant lesson.
It is. Yeah. If glass has taught me one thing in life, it's patience. Like,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So,
Goodness, excuse me.
let me think here. Back to what I was saying earlier about, we just got a oxygen frog system in too.
Nice.
And that has changed my life. I used to, hump K tanks back and forth to the oxygen place every Tuesday and Thursday to be able to have enough oxygen to keep working and everything like that. And so now it's really nice that we have the whole, oxygen concentrators and, compression system and all that kind of storage tanks hooked up and everything. And now I can work way longer without having to, try and put together money for oxygen, keep that whole front running all the time. It's been able to allow me to, get a step ahead of the game, really.
Yeah, man. I would recommend that to anybody as an investment. It's definitely, it makes a big difference. Scott and I've been talking behind the scenes. He's going to be coming on pretty soon to talk about the new bullfrog that he's got out that he revealed at Glassroots.
Oh, I saw that thing at Glassroots. It was amazing.
Yeah, and he has an economy version that he's going to be putting out here, and I can't talk about it too much. It's kind of a behind the scenes thing right now, but we'll be coming on talking about it.
Or what's it? I forget. I got to talk to him at Glassroots. I ran into him, and I actually hooked him up with an anchor as well.
Oh, nice! He
scored one of my anchors while I was over there. He was super stoked, and we got to go back and check out all the work that was made off of the bullfrog and all that kind of cool stuff. So it was really fun.
Yeah. He was telling me about the demo that they did all day. 2 vac stacks and raging that fucking thing, and it just kept up with no problems at all.
Yeah, he was super excited about it, and it was fun to watch it all come together, and he was super stoked with the way it worked. So I was happy for him.
Yeah,
definitely.
It was like watching his little kid go up to bat and hit a home run. Yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude, he killed it for sure. I got to go out there, and I took my first formal class at Glassroots. I ended up getting into their education program and going to the Phil Siegel class.
Nice.
Out there, which was fucking changed my life, man. I mean, it was incredible to watch him work and just kind of see what was possible. I'd never seen anybody work on that level before, so it truly inspired me to come back here and start getting into more I think the class was on original character development, and so watching him make one of his wizards and another piece was just freaking incredible.
Yeah. I think what's fun with those kind of classes, from what I've taken it myself, and you see these pieces from a distance and they look super complicated, and then you see them in person and they're not so complicated, and then you see the process and you realize that it's really not that complicated. It's just understanding the move sets to make and understanding your material to get from A to Z. And Phil's a great example of that. His wizards are such a simple form thing, but they're fucking spot on every time, and it's also a cool piece for him to collab with other artists too.
Totally, yeah. The wide range of techniques that you can apply to something so simple is cool. I think that's really it. I think it's about nailing that simplicity that allows you to really just capture whatever you're trying to do in a way that will. Obviously it is what it is, but it doesn't have to be perfect every time,
Mm-hmm.
You can kind of you have some artistic freedom there. So that's something I'm definitely going to be working on.
Yeah, and it definitely takes I don't want to simplify it and say it's easy, because it's not. It's
no, it's not.
It's a hard process to understand, to make your stuff simple. It's what it comes down to, because it's totally easy to overcomplicate it.
Exactly. It's way easy to add way too much.
Yeah, that's why I don't paint, because whenever I paint, I can never find the finish line. I'm always adding things to it and
keep going. I'm just gonna keip going. Yeah, totally.
Then it's a fucking mess, so I just throw it away.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. That's it, 100%.
But then, with Phil, you see the simplicity in his work, but then you see the koi fish he made a year and a half ago, whatever it was.
Yeah, you're what the?
Yeah, it's fucking crazy, bro. With 8,000 scales or some shit the thing had. It was just.
Yeah, that is dedication right there.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. And go on.
One of the big things that I learned from that class was just he was talking about how whenever you're creating something, to sketch it out. He sketches it out like to scale, which I thought was really cool. Like I ended up going out and get some sketch pads and some pens and paper and pencils and all kinds of stuff and trying to like sketch out my designs like to the size of the piece so that you can just hold your piece up right there and go, yeah, that's the right size.
Yep.
And then next thing you know, it all comes together, and really your proportions, I think, is like one of the hardest things to judge with glass. It's like trying to get two things exactly the same size is really hard.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you can sketch it out and then just make the pieces and put them up to it, and then you're like, no, I have to remove a little, or, oh shit, I got to remake it because it's too small, or...
Yeah, and that's why too. Like part of what I enjoy, like with over at the Mouse House, is a couple of our artists have taught me, like when I'm doing character work or any production, like if one of Jimmy Dill's one of our guys, when he's doing some of his character work, like he has like hands that are already samples that he's already pre-made that he uses for references, or like to make the head the same size every time of a character, he has just a marble that he's made that's the size that the head needs to be, or like an ear, this is the size that it needs to be, and he just kind of like has those as references, and he's got this little plastic like toolbox kind of gimmick, like a little flat like a tackle box almost kind of looking thing. And then he's just got these little pieces and parts all in there, and he just has each little slot has this is the character and this is their parts and components and the proportions for what they are. That
specific piece that he needs. That's a super cool idea to be able to just like, because then you have that size replication, you have that like detail replication, and like if you're trying to like make something, one of the other things that I learned from this class, if you do like a really really like super sculptural hand, and then you just have some really simple eyes on there, it's going to look weird. Like you want everything to kind of be in the same level of detail throughout your whole piece. Like if you do like one piece really really like complicated, and then you do something else really simple, it's going to look off.
Yeah, and that's what I like about that concept too. It's like the difference between doing like something that's super detailed art wise as like a high end production line, and then doing or not high end production, but just doing like a high end one-off basically, and then you can take that concept and dumb it down a little bit and then make a high-end production line out of it to where it's a little more simplified. You don't have all these cuts and wrinkles and details and stuff, but then you still have the ability to go back and do that to spice it up a little bit more so. Or you can make all your parts ahead of time simple, and then you can go back and add those details to them, so the details are all consistent, but also the proportions and parts are all the same too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. That makes sense. 100%. Yeah, that's definitely a cool way of going about it, especially whenever you simplifying something to turn it into a production line. I've done that, a number of times with just even simpler techniques.
Yeah.
It's like I'm going to remove a couple Marias, and I'm going to remove, like put on a honeycomb, and I'm going to call it good. You know?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. But like you look at like Elbow, for instance, like his dynos that he does, and I know he's got assistants helping him make those things, and that's his high end production line. And then he'll do one with a collab with somebody or put a shit ton of work into it, and then it's like the high end, super high end one off.
Yeah, but that's not for every customer. You know what I mean? Like, exactly. Not everybody can afford one of those, so it's nice for him to be able to do that every now and then, but still be able to make money off of the lower end ones that a lot of people can afford.
Yep. Yeah, it's like your showcase piece versus your case piece.
Yeah, totally. I mean, you kind of have to have both. I mean, as a self-employed person, I think it's all about diversity.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I think that's a really big part of it. Like you have to I know people that are like teaching classes too, and like love doing that. And then like one of the first people I got to meet was Rashawn, and he came down here to Tucson and did the Best Bees show, and he was like the MC for the Sonoran Glass Art Flame Off down here, and he killed it. And like he was one of the first professional glass blowers I'd ever met, and it was really cool to watch him. He came out with he had a little booth with all of his like goblets and different pendants and all kinds of cool stuff. So it was really cool talking to him. Like he was very inspiring right off the bat. Yeah,
man, he's one of my favorites in our industry for sure.
Yeah, he's super cool, dude. I mean, I got love for that guy for sure.
Yeah, he'll be back on soon for episode 200. I hit him up the other day. I'm like, hey man, get ready, dude. Coming back on.
Do another one?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna
super cool.
Yeah, because I figure every 100 episodes I gotta bring his ass back on here. So.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, every 100th episode. Wasn't he your first one too? He's like first episode, 100th episode, and then now the 200th episode.
Yeah.
Jeez, dude, you were killing it with the podcast, man. You have oh yeah. By the way, so how I found out about your podcast was really interesting. I got one of your Wise Guy stickers in the mail in my Mountain Art Glass package.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is a cool ass sticker. I'm gonna throw this on the back of my truck window. Sure. And like, I think it was like maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, I was like, man, I wish there was like a glass podcast out there I could listen to, because I was just starting to get into like books on tape and podcasts and all that kinds of stuff. And then I like found your website, and I was like, hey, that's the sticker that's on the back of my truck. Like, what is this? And like, then I found out, you were doing this podcast, and I was like, oh, this is so dope. Like, I gotta get a hold of you somehow. And so I left you a comment, and then I did the whole like review thing, and you sent me the little wise guy pendant, which is still super cool. I have him sitting above my computer, like always, like, get your books done.
Fuck yeah.
He's always looking at me. He's like, hey, what are you doing?
Oh, that's awesome, dude. Yeah, man. However I can help, that's fucking amazing.
Yeah, dude. No, totally. It's awesome. And I was super stoked to find out that you were doing this, and I'm so happy that you're doing this for the community. And so it's super killer, man. I really like it.
Thank you.
Every time you drop an episode, I'm like, oh, sweet, it's time to crank out the podcast.
Yeah, and I'm actually supposed to have. I've got Jennifer Levine. She's coming. Her episode's supposed to pop today, so nice. I'm like a day behind on getting her edited. I sat down to do the edit, and I realized that I didn't do my intro, which I usually do after I do my interviews. Yeah. And I went to go do the edit. I'm like, where's my intro at? And then I was like, oh fuck, I didn't do it.
Yeah, totally.
So once we get off the phone, I'm gonna do her intro and slap it together and get it out there for the day.
Bam. Yeah, sweet. I'm super stoked to hear that. What, like, so now that you've been doing this for a while now, like, what are you still super stoked to like bring on a bunch of new artists? I know that you said you had a bunch of people reach out to you recently, and everything was going really well.
Oh, dude, I got
glad.
I got the rest of the year basically is booked. First 4 episodes.
Super dope.
Yeah. I've actually got later tonight a couple cats. I've actually, it's gonna be my first like 2 guys at one time coming on the show. They're 2 business partners that work together in glass, and they have a pretty cool story.
Oh,
so
cool!
It'd be fun to have the
That'll
3 of us on.
Entertaining.
Yeah. I'm interested about. They have an interesting technology perspective in regards to the business side of things, like Bitcoin and different types of stuff like that, and different types of business transactions. So we're gonna dive deep into that whole concept of the whole online cryptocurrency stuff. So I'm pretty excited about it because I'm not really too familiar with it, and it's kind of crazy. A couple of years ago, a buddy of mine, one of my collectors, hit me up, and he's like, "Hey, dude, you use Bitcoin?" I'm like, "No, what the fuck is that?" He's like, "Well, you should. Here's a link to it." So I was reading about it, and I was like, "Man, this is kind of weird," because I was seeing it was like black market, underground currencies, and blah blah blah, and the ebbs and flows and shit. And then I was listening to a show about 2 weeks ago, and this dude's like, "Yeah, man, so I bought this fucking T-shirt for $20 with some Bitcoin, and now this Bitcoin paid for a T-shirt now would be worth about $250,000 if I hadn't spent that Bitcoin."
Yeah, that one Bitcoin. I know. Yeah, cryptocurrency is so volatile.
Yeah.
So yeah, I one of my favorite ways of getting paid, I guess, is probably like Venmo's really nice for quick transfer of cash for like pendants and stuff like that, because it's definitely they don't charge you anything like PayPal does. PayPal's fees are so small. I mean, I do them a lot for the auctions, but if someone has Venmo, that's my primary way of getting paid.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot more about that too. I'm gonna have to check that out because I stopped using PayPal last year and a half ago. I got fucked on a chargeback dispute.
Oh shit!
With an overseas customer. Yeah, so
that sucks.
Yeah.
Oh, rough.
So I still owe PayPal money, and they can suck my left nut.
Yeah, fuck that. Fuck those guys. Yeah.
Yeah,
totally.
It sucks. Yeah, just for anybody out there listening to this, if you ship international, there's no way to track your package outside of the country. So the guests or customers who purchase your stuff can say they didn't receive it because even if they did, there's no proof that they did because the tracking information stops when they leave the country. Because PayPal requires tracking information to prove that it was shipped. And once it leaves the country, there's no way to get it. Yeah, it sucks. So there's got to be some way out there that I'm just not aware about, that I'm just ignorant to. But from talking to the postmaster and to PayPal when this dispute went down, there was like, sorry, there's nothing we can do.
Yeah, they got their stuff, and then they can just charge you back for it.
Yep.
So yeah, international shipping, be careful, definitely.
Yeah, it's all my international. Oh, go on.
Oh, I just shipped a package out to Australia, so I'm really happy that went smooth then. Like,
yeah, and I've had them go smooth too. It was just this one particular thing. It was just part of it was my doing because it took me forever to get this guy's piece made.
Yeah.
So it was there. He was so totally patient with the whole situation, but it was, long story short, it was a little 50-50 kind of thing. But in the long run, it still was a kick in the nuts. So
Yeah, it doesn't sound fun. It doesn't. Yeah, you want those transactions to go smooth and simple. You know what I mean? And anything that happens like that just is like a huge headache, and just totally saps motivation, I feel.
Yeah, because it's just one more thing you got to deal with when it comes to the business side of things, and there's not a whole lot to deal with as it is. But then when you have something like that, it just stresses you the fuck out.
So true.
Especially when it was like $1,000 piece. It's like,
oh,
yeah,
ouch.
dude, yeah, yeah,
no fun.
no. So it's
But
all
so
go on.
Venmo's been really good for me, and I still have PayPal and stuff like that, but I usually don't do any big purchases on PayPal or like big orders or anything like that. I like to go to just like straight bank account transfers, or Venmo's nice too. So that's kind of my jam on those. Or mail me a check. That works too,
I've seen a lot of people actually going back to that.
Yeah, definitely. That's never failed me.
Or doing
Or
CODs.
a money order. Or any of those.
Yeah. Yeah, CODs, because a lot of shops are like, hey, man, blah, 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 can you send me this, that, and this? I'm like, well, yeah, I can, but I need you to pay me, kind of shit.
Yeah.
And you see these nightmares of people sending off stuff to shops that are brand new or whatever, and whether it was intentional or not, the artists ends up getting screwed in the end or something, stupid, So CODs are sometimes the way to go as well, because they can't get the package unless they have money for you.
Yeah. Ship me a check. I'll send it whenever I receive the check,
Yeah.
It's like include extra for shipping, or unless we develop something else where I was going to do free shipping for you. Like, otherwise, can't really send it out. I try to stick to that. I mean, a lot of times I'll do it if I trust them, if I know them, or we've done business in the past, or, you just kind of do it depending upon the relationship, I feel.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the way to go, man. Just establish the relationships, and you'll understand, over a period of time.
Yeah, and like, I think whenever you expand your business, or at least whenever I'm expanding my business, I always try to look for sustainable customers. Like, I can find those one-off sales, but they never really like pay the bills. You know what I mean? They're always like, oh, that was nice. And then it's like, well, when are they going to order more? Or, I'm trying to develop like a starter package that shops can order, and then they can kind of fine tune their orders from there, depending upon what sells faster and what they need. And, try and put together a package so that if you buy regularly, you get a discount. Like if you sign up for like a monthly order, or, a quarterly order or something along those lines.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting you're saying that. It's making my brain think about like these new, like the blue aprons and the different types of food services now, and it's just like an automatic renewal kind of gimmick, to where you can set it up with a shop to where you just get these automatic renewal orders that go out. They can eventually cancel if they need to, but you charge,
but until they cancel, they'll keep receiving their order every time.
Yeah, and even have like a variation of packages you can let them choose from, type of thing.
Totally. Yeah, depending upon their store and what they want, or even totally. That's definitely a good way to do it. I'll probably implement that.
Yeah, me too.
Option into the package.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
Yeah, so everybody take that to heart, because it's definitely that's one reason I love doing these shows too, man, because it gets my brain rolling and thinking of new ideas, because we all have our ways of doing things, but we're also in this same boat together, so it's
we're all just trying to support the customers. They're the ones that are out there using this stuff, and I really love the culture and the people that I get to associate with on a regular basis, and all the cool people you get to meet. Like, I had the most fun out at Glassroots this year. That was like my first trade show I ever went to. So it was a blast. And it was kind of a reconnaissance mission for me. So next year I can get a booth out there and do the whole, set up, get the whole booth, even if it's just a smaller booth, go out there by myself and just set up a little solo man shop and try and get some orders.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm actually going to be bringing Chris Piazza back on to talk about his experience, because last year he came on after he did Glassroots, just to talk about the process of a business now filling orders, because it's something that,
oh, sweet,
you're not necessarily thinking about, because I know last year they did that, and they were basically like, I think he said he got like 35,000 in orders or some shit like that, and they had to figure out a way, so they started basically like they would produce this particular model, and then they would put each individual whatever the shops all ordered, they would start filling the boxes up. So they basically would fill everybody's boxes and then ship everything out. And so this year he said what they're going to do is just take first come, first serve. So first order gets made, second order gets made. And so that That way, not
in
everybody's
line.
Yeah, because then otherwise you're keeping everybody waiting like 3 months for all their shit, and it can be overwhelming just as an artist knowing that your customers are like, "Where the fuck's my shit?" And
Yeah, totally. Because you got to stay on top of that one for sure.
yeah,
Everybody's ready for it, and you're the one that needs to make it. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, man. Well, I think it's a good place for us to take a quick break and thank our
Cool.
sponsors, and then we'll come back and it'll be time for us to crash the kiln.
awesome.
This segment of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by Zen Dude Fitness. Lose 10 pounds this month by joining the Zen Dude Fitness 4-week jump rope fat loss challenge. Brandon and Dan will take you on a guided journey towards becoming the best you. Get fit, have fun, and find new ways to eat healthy while still enjoying the sweeter side of life. Just takes 20 to 30 minutes a day and no gym required. For more info and to sign up for the free 4-week challenge, go to wiseguymedia.com/ZenDudeFitness. That's wiseguymedia.com/ZenDudeFitness. All right, man, we are back.
Awesome.
So the Crash the Kiln round consists of 7 questions. You can give me a 30 to 60 second answer on them or expound upon them as we always do. And the first question I always like to ask is if there's any living glass artist that you want to work with that is still alive, who is it and why?
Definitely thought about this before. So I've been a big fan of Purdy Glass, Chandler Ellis, I believe his name is. He was like one of the first people I ever like followed on Instagram, and I was like, wow, his work's like, just his craftsmanship is like through the roof. So definitely, if I had to pick one person to work with, it'd definitely be Purdy Glass.
Cool.
Definitely one of my favorites out there.
Hell yeah. What are your top 5 favorite colors in glass?
Ooh. Well, start off with, amber purple, agua azul, definitely. I think it's butterscotch and caramel are both really dope. That's going to count as one because I usually use whatever I can get my hands on. Both of them are really dope for that color scheme. I just got a hold of some electric coconut from Batch that has, super new UV color that's really cool.
Haven't heard of that yet. I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, it glows like that, like the old school, the stars used to stick up on your roof and like the planets and the whole things. Like it's that kind of glow.
Nice.
So that's some really cool stuff, and it works just absolutely beautifully. It's super buttery and really easy and great for like all different kinds of techniques. So if you can get your hands on some electric coconut, I highly recommend it from Batch.
Hell yeah.
They killed it. Super duper with that color. And I think last one, probably like grape from Glass Alchemy. It's just a really stable, if it's coil potted straight, you can go black with it pretty much. It has a little bit of a purple translucency in the sunlight, but otherwise it just looks flat black.
Yeah, and from what I believe, there's like no true black out there. It's all either like a saturated purple or saturated greens.
Yeah, it's like a super dark green or a super dark blue, and I always have problems with like super vitrification on it, and it's like I can never quite seem to get the flame chemistry just right, but that grape, man, can't go wrong.
Hell yeah. So what is
that's definitely my 5 favorite colors.
Nice. What's your worst injury in the studio?
Ooh. I guess I have a worst potential injury that scared me pretty bad. So I had a wrap and rake and like one of the wraps of my piece fell off and was on the table. And you know how it gets all springy and you can kind of push it up and down, and it's amazing how flexible it is whenever it's, thin enough. And it ended up like breaking and shooting a little tiny like end of a piece into my eyelid.
Jesus.
And like it got stuck underneath my eyelid, and I freaked out and I could feel it, and I like ran into the bathroom and I like kind of pulled my eyelid down and kind of moved my shit around, and it finally just popped out and like on my top of my the upper part of my bottom eyelid, and I ended up getting it out. I didn't get hurt. It wasn't like that was like an injury or anything like that, but it scared me half to death. So always wear your glasses whenever you're in the studio. Like, definitely worth it.
Yeah.
Like, a little piece broke off and shot in there. And so that was like probably the closest I came to actually getting seriously injured. But my worst injuries was like whenever I was pulling a vac stack, and my handle broke whenever I was pulling the main pull of it, and it ended up draping over my arm.
Oh, Jesus.
And it kind of bent around the side, which it put me down for like a day or two, and I still have kind of a scar there, but it really wasn't that bad. I've been pretty lucky, I feel, like, to not really get super injured.
Yeah. Jesus, that still sucks though.
Yeah, it definitely sucked at the time.
Doesn't smell good. Yeah, and with the wrap and rake stuff, like I when I was first doing wrap and rakes myself, you know, if you don't get your surface or your tubing the right temperature, that shit just pops off or doesn't want to stick. And I know there's times where like
it just slides right off.
Yeah, you can like slide a spring of glass off your tubing, you know, it's fucking rad. But there was a couple times where I would do it, and like I would have spots that were cold on the tube, and I wouldn't realize they were doing that, and I would go back and start doing my rake or just heating it back up. And there was one time where I had my tubing itself actually like spiderwebbed underneath the color, and all that color just like randomly popped off in every fucking direction of the area. And a couple of those
all over.
Oh, dude, a couple of them actually, because I had my mouth open for whatever, you know, what I was doing. So I had like it burnt my lip and my tongue from the glass just flying at my face. Thank God I had my glasses on. So I had like these little half circle burns on my lips from that glass.
Yeah, totally. It's dangerous, man. Those little shards, dude, especially when you're doing those wraps. Yeah, you got to get that tubing hot, otherwise it totally pops off. I've had it happen to me a million times.
Yeah. But it's a great lesson in understanding your heat base and control, you know, when it comes down to it.
Totally. If the glass is hot, it will stick and it won't crack on you.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why you should preheat your points ahead of time too. Not all of them at once, but you know, a couple.
Yeah, the one that you're working on. Yeah, totally. Because I do a silver fume base on the bottom just to get a little whatever covered. If there isn't something covered, I want it to turn silver fume blue. So I do that like at the beginning, and then that just kind of helps me get it hot right off the bat. And then I kind of cook that silver in just a little bit, and then I do my wrap.
Hell yeah.
I've gotten them to the point now where they just stick every time, and I don't really have much cracking off issues. But yeah, in the beginning, man, that shit was flying all over the place. Little tiny shards going down my shoes and like in my fucking shirt, and like lighting stuff on fire here and there. Yeah. Doing the chicken dance at my studio bench.
Oh yeah, dude. Been there, done that. At least once a week.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It still happens. Totally.
Hell yeah. So if you could describe the sound of glass cracking in one word, whether like a literal term or whatever, metaphorically speaking.
Yeah. I was thinking about this, and it's really hard to say. Like literally, it's like a kaplink. You get this little crack, and then it goes tink. And but like metaphysically speaking, it's like a fuck moment. You know, you get that. You're like, okay, like what now? I guess. What do I have to do next?
Yep.
To be able to save it. I mean, but literally, it's a kaplink.
Yeah. Cool. So in the studio, you watching TV, listening to the radio, or do you do both?
I do a lot of both. Mainly radio. You know, that's kind of the staple basic. But if I'm feeling up for it, I do a lot of audible books on tape. Audiobooks. Been doing a lot of those lately. They hit the spot just because whenever I'm doing production, I feel like I want my mind to be as active as my body is. So keeps me entertained while I'm working for like a long period of time. I can get sucked into a story and just like, lose, 8 hours, 10 hours and be like, oh, sweet, all my work's done. And I read a book while I was at it.
Yeah, exactly. Any favorites that you've come across?
Oh, I don't know. Mine's pretty specific. I'm really into like military history.
Okay.
So I do a lot of like, I did a lot of books on the Afghanistan wars and Iraq war. And now I'm into World War I, World War II era kind of stuff. I've been doing some interesting stuff over there. I did the whole Dan Carlin's hardcore history. That was really fun.
Yeah, I was about to ask you about that. Wasn't that amazing, dude? That whole series on it? That was
so fantastic. He definitely put it all into a very palatable, very entertaining way of exploring World War I. It was super, super fun. I want to do more. So I'm looking at picking up his whole package.
Yeah. Yeah, his Wrath of Khan series is really good too.
Oh, okay. I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, like you think Genghis Khan was a motherfucker. His brother was like the worst of all of them. Like
The worst. Oh,
just
shit.
some of the shit,
Okay.
dude. Like he talks about them going into villages and like wiping out the entire village and then stacking their bodies on top of a pile and putting a piece
Whoa.
of plywood on top of the pile of bodies and then having dinner on top of that plywood with a table and chairs. You know, like just fucked up shit these guys were doing.
Yeah, totally fucked up beyond recognition.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. So, do you have any glass blowing themed tattoos?
No, they're definitely on the list right now. I don't have any tattoos. I've just never had I've never wanted anything on my body permanently yet, but definitely some glass blowing themed tattoos are going down for
Hell yeah.
sure. And so as soon as I get them, I'll shoot you a picture.
Hell yeah.
It shouldn't be too much longer here.
Cool. And last but not least, what are your top 5 favorite tools besides your glasses and your torch?
Ooh, walk over to my studio right now and see what I got sitting here. Definitely a graphite paddle, big octagon reamer is number 2. I'm really becoming fond of my knife. I have like a sweet little carving knife that I use. I'd say a pair of hot hands or the ball grabbers are really nice, just for grabbing stuff. And then guess I'd have to say my an L marver on top of the torch. I'm really becoming fond of that.
Hell yeah.
So that's
Cool.
kind of my jam.
Nice. Hell
I
yeah.
can pretty much make anything I need out of that.
You have a Smith torch and a blowhose setup?
Oh yeah, totally. Blowhose and Smith torch definitely rock. I just got a new little tip for my Smith torch. The little blast shield, 6 jet. I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 jet. Yeah, for sure. Definitely. That thing, it has completely changed my work to be able to melt in all those little tiny places that you can never really get to on your torch.
Yeah.
So that's definitely been a game changer for me. Just even with melting in like little beads and stuff like that and getting them just right so that they're like, melted in all the way around, or doing horns and bridging and all that kind of stuff. Totally. The Smith torch is killer especially with the combo with the blowhose.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it was a game changer for me too. And I still laugh about it. Like, why didn't I fucking get this shit like 10 years ago?
I know.
It's been available forever.
Totally know. Yeah, I worked so long without having any of that. And I was like, well, I know why that stuff was so hard.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
Cool, man. Well, again, I appreciate you coming on, brother, and reaching out and wanting to come on the show
Dude,
and stuff
thanks
too.
for having me, man. It's been awesome.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun for sure. And definitely hang on afterwards. We'll say our goodbye off the air here. And
Okay.
But before we let you go, if you want to give anybody or give us your parting piece of advice, and then where we can find you out there in cyberspace.
Okay. Parting piece of advice, definitely. I don't know, maybe slow is steady, dude. Just try and focus on you. Do what you think is cool. I mean, everybody kind of like gets on these hype trends and every color hype and all this kinds of stuff. But I think money follows passion, man. You got to just stick to what you believe and try and dedicate yourself to that. And don't push yourself. Don't try and jump ahead to where your skills are at, and just allow yourself to be a part of the journey.
Oh yeah, well said.
And on Instagram, you can find me at Still Drop. I changed it from Still Drop Studio because now I'm technically not working at Still Drop Studio anymore. Then, even though it is, but it isn't, it's kind of, I just wanted to drop the studio for now.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll come back later. But yeah, you can find me at Still Drop on Instagram, or you can find me at Caleb Prater on Facebook. That's more for, friends and family and stuff like that. But occasionally I'll post some stuff on there. So either way, and then my Big Cartel page, which you'll have listed in the show notes.
Yep, absolutely.
So yeah, kind of like that.
Cool, man. Well, again, dude, it was an honor having you on here, and thanks again for my little my anchor. I'll be wearing it.
It was an honor to be here, and I'm super stoked you dig your anchor, man. I'll be doing a lot more of those.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to seeing where you take it. It's gonna be
sweet.
Be fun to see, yeah, for sure.
Rock
Hell
on.
yeah. Well, hope you all enjoyed this interview with Caleb here. And again, you can find him on Instagrams and social feeds. I'll have all the links in the show notes for you guys. And until next time, we will talk to you on the Wise Guy Radio Show. Y'all take it easy. Peace. This episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by the Flow magazine. Since its inception, the focus of the Flow has been to provide a bond among members of the lampworking community. In every issue, you can enjoy great content with the hottest artists and cutting-edge techniques using the latest industry products. These features, along with the continuation of our Women in Glass edition, Glasscraft Emerging Artist Awards, inspiring gallery showcases, dynamic general interest articles, as well as health and safety information, make the Flow the leading international lampworking journal. For more information or to subscribe to the Flow, go to theflowmagazine.com. That's theflowmagazine.com.